If she brings up this topic, she's already imagining you closer than she's willing to admit. Let me guess how this started. She said something that sounded random, innocent even, and now it's looping in your head. You're replaying her tone, her timing, the way it landed. You're asking yourself the question most men ask too late. Was that flirting, or am I reading into it? Here's the truth men don't hear often enough. Attraction rarely announces itself. It tests. And women don't test with compliments first. They test with topics. Topics that sit right on the edge of private. As a woman, I'll say this clearly. When I'm attracted, I don't jump straight to touch or desire. I start by seeing if a man can stay grounded when the frame shifts. That's why the first sign almost always sounds harmless. She asks what you wear to sleep. Not because she needs the information, but because sleep is the most unguarded state you have. When she asks that, she's not collecting data. She's checking whether you noticed the door she just cracked open. Most men answer like they're filling out a form. They miss the invitation. The right response isn't rushed, and it isn't shy. It's warm, specific, and calm. You let a second pass. Then you answer in a way that gives her an image without asking for anything back. That pause matters. It tells her you're not startled by intimacy. From there, watch how the topics evolve. She stops asking where you live and starts asking what your place is like. That wording isn't accidental. Your place isn't geography. It's atmosphere. It's safety. It's imagining herself there without having to ask if she's allowed to imagine it. When she asks that, she's watching your face as much as your words. She's reading whether you tense up or soften, whether you sound defensive or settled. A man who can describe his space without apology signals emotional room. That's what relaxes her. Then comes the daylight version of the same test. She brings up showers. Morning or night. It sounds like small talk, but it isn't. Showers are sensory. Skin, steam, solitude. She chose that topic because it lets her imagine your body without making herself vulnerable. This is where men either go crude or clinical. Both kill the moment. The right move is a picture plus a vibe. You give her just enough to engage her imagination, then you pass the frame back to her. If she lingers in her answer, you'll see it in her eyes before you hear it in her words. This entire phase is about calibration. She's checking whether you can handle subtle intimacy without collapsing into performance. And once she sees you can, the questions get closer. Not louder. Closer. Now the focus shifts from environment to sensation. She asks what cologne you wear, but what she really wants is a memory hook. Something she can replay later when you're not there. When she leans in to smell you and asks why you chose it, she's not critiquing your taste. She's deciding whether your presence leaves a trace. This is where confidence shows up quietly. You don't apologize. You don't explain too much. You let her define what it smells like on you. When she comments on your warmth, even without touching you, that's not about temperature. That's permission. It's her acknowledging closeness without making the first move. Most men brush it off and the door closes. A man who stays calm lets the moment breathe. Then comes the language of bodies without bodies. Spoon talk. Big spoon or little spoon. It sounds playful, but it's a test of whether you can hold an intimate frame without getting awkward or aggressive. She's watching your tone more than your answer. Then the questions sharpen. T-shirt in bed or nothing. This one almost always arrives wrapped in humor, so she can retreat if she needs to. If you panic or brag, she pulls back. The answer that works lives in the middle. Grounded. Conditional. Intent without pressure. When she compliments your hands, pay attention. Hands are never random. They're the preview. They tell her how you touch, how you move, how you exist when you're not trying. If you hide them, you signal discomfort. If you slow down and let her notice, you signal ease. And ease is what makes attraction deepen. Then the topic that separates men who understand boundaries from men who chase moments, massage. When she mentions it and looks at you instead of her phone, she's offering a controlled invitation. She wants to know whether your desire has brakes. This is where leadership shows up as restraint. You ask what's okay. You keep it short. You watch her body. That's what builds trust. And trust is what allows her to relax into the next question, the one framed as logistics. Sleeping over. Notice how she presents it like a practical problem. That's self-protection. She's giving herself an out while offering you an opening. If you react with excitement, you pressure her. If you act indifferent, you reject her. The right response is calm certainty. You make it easy. You give her a choice. You don't corner her. When you handle this well, something shifts. She stops testing and starts imagining continuity. Morning routines, messy hair, coffee rituals. She's collecting domestic footage now. This isn't about sex. It's about whether you feel safe to exist alongside. When she talks about scent again, but this time skin instead of perfume, that's closeness without touch. She's telling you what she wants to associate with you. And if you listen instead of performing, she'll keep going. At this stage, her attraction starts leaking into objects and scenes. Hoodies, late night food runs, private corners at loud events. None of these are about the thing itself. A hoodie is about wearing something that smells like you. A food run is about choosing her as your teammate in a small, unnecessary adventure. Privacy isn't about quiet. It's about shrinking the world until it's just the two of you. When she asks to go somewhere more private, she's watching how you move. Do you rush? Do you command? Or do you slow down and let her set the distance? The men who get this right understand that attraction grows in the pauses. Then she brings up that's and immediately pretends she didn't. This is a controlled risk. She wants to see if you'll panic, joke it away, or stay steady. Steadiness is what tells her desire with you won't feel messy. Then she asks about your night-in outfit. This is visual on purpose. She's asking you to place yourself in her mental space. The answer isn't about clothes. It's about whether you're comfortable being seen without armor. When you answer with specificity and humor, you make it mutual. And that's key. Every time you pass the frame back to her, you lower the risk. Then comes the question that sounds like confidence, but is really about embodiment. What's your best feature? She's not asking you to impress her. She's asking whether you can own your physical presence without fishing for validation. Men who brag feel unsafe. Men who self-deprecate feel fragile. The sweet spot is quiet ownership. Something specific. Something grounded. And then you return the vulnerability. When she answers, watch her. A pause, a laugh, a blush. That's your cue to stop talking. You don't need a line. You don't need cleverness. Sometimes the most attractive thing you can say is a simple truth delivered calmly. Because by now, she isn't testing anymore. She's choosing. All those random topics weren't random. They were her way of moving closer without losing control. Your job was never to push. It was to stay present. To answer without flinching. To let the tension build without trying to resolve it too fast. That's what makes her feel safe enough to want more. And when she feels safe, her attraction stops being subtle. Here's what most men never realize. When a woman brings up private topics casually, she's already decided she feels something. The question isn't whether she's attracted. The question is whether you're someone she can stay attracted to. Every response either keeps the door open, closes it quietly, or slams it shut. Too casual, and she assumes you're unavailable. Too intense, and she retreats. But when you respond with calm intent, something accelerates. She stops hiding behind humor. She stops testing with hypotheticals. She starts wanting to linger, wanting to be close, wanting to see how you handle the next step. And that's where most men still get stuck. They feel the shift, but they don't know how to speak into it without sounding desperate or rehearsed. That's why Female Code Unlocked exists. Not to teach lines, but to teach timing. Not to manufacture attraction, but to recognize it when it's already there. If you've been replaying a conversation, wondering why a simple question felt loaded, now you know. It wasn't the words. It was the invitation underneath them. And once you learn to hear that layer, you can't unhear it. You'll start noticing how often women signal interest without ever saying, "I like you." You'll see how attraction builds through safety, not pressure. Through presence, not performance. And when you answer from that place, you stop guessing. You stop chasing. You let things unfold. Because the strongest attraction doesn't come from trying harder. It comes from being able to stay calm inside moments that would have rattled you before. That's the difference between men who get tested endlessly and men women relax into. And once a woman relaxes into you, everything changes.